Hi everybody, I'm back again with another tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how to put binding on the top and the bottom edges of your corset. Now I already posted a video on how to prepare your boning and also how to put in your grommets, so I already have that done on this corset. Usually what binding is made out of is bias tape. And you can see bias tape here. You can buy it at any fabric store. They usually come in little packets of I think 3 meters long. And what bias is it's cloth that is cut on a 45-degree angle, and that allows it to have the maximum stretch as possible. And what this does is it allows your binding to be able to stretch and ease with the curves of your corset, so you're not going to get any tugging or rippling or bumpiness or anything along those lines. So you'll just have a nice smooth binding. Now there are a couple of different ways to put on binding. I'm just going to show you the quick and dirty way using the sewing machine, but you can just sew it on by hand with a slip stitch if you are a perfectionist. But the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this on the camera, but I had already marked in pencil the top and bottom lines here where I want the top of the corset to basically stop, or to meet the binding in any case. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. So I'm probably going to leave maybe 1/4 of an inch space between the line and the edge. So now you can see I have a very smooth line going right across, and I'm not being an absolute perfectionist about this because you are going to be able to somewhat control the width of your binding when you actually put it on. Okay, so I'm back with my machine, and once again here's the bias tape, and it's folded once inward and then folded once over again. That's what they mean double folded. So one thing that I don't do before I actually start putting the binding on is I don't cut it to length, because I can't anticipate how much I'm actually going to need with all the stretching and the giving that I have to do. So I usually just pin a little bit at a time and sew a little bit at a time, working my way as I go. So you'll see that in a couple minutes. Also, I always use eye protection when I'm doing this, because you will be sewing close to the boning, and the boning is metal, and it will break your needle if you hit it hard enough. So you don't want, sharp objects flying at your face when you're doing this. So make sure you're wearing eyeglasses or eye goggles. Now the first thing you need to do to put on the binding is turn your corset over so that the good side, or the fashion fabric, is facing you. And you're going to open up your bias tape so that it's kind of open like a book. You have this right side open like this. And you just want to line up the edge of your bias tape with the edge of the corset like that, so that your bias tape is lying on top of your corset. And you want to have a little bit of an overlap here of the bias tape over the edge of your corset, and you just want to turn that under like this. So I'm just going to pin that in place. Here is your binding that has one part folded over like so. This one part is folded over, and one part that is not folded over. And the part that is not folded over is the one that's closest to your corset edge, and it is pinned in place. And what you want to do is you're going to start sewing along this crease here. Okay, so when you come to about an inch away from the other edge of your corset, what you're going to do is you're going to cut the binding at about an inch longer than the corset itself. And you want to fold that under very neatly. So you've just finished the front side of it, and if you have any little seams poking out like here, then just take your scissors and clean it up. Let's make sure everything's straight. Now what you're going to do is take the rest of the binding and simply fold it over the corset like this. And then arrange it so that it's lying very neatly on the underside of your corset, the lining side. What you can do on this lining side is you can hand stitch it using a slip stitch or a back stitch so that you have a very clean line on both the inside and the outside. That's what I would recommend you do with any commissions you have if you're making corsets for other people and you want a really clean, smooth line inside and out. Another thing that you could do is simply machine stitch it the same way you had before on this side. What you can do is making sure you have your binding in place on the lining side. You can sew on the front fashion side here, and what you can do is something called stitching in the ditch, where you basically stitch exactly on the seam that you had made before, so that you can't see any of the stitching on the binding nor on the actual corset fabric itself. And when you're finished sewing both the fashion and the lining sides, you can choose to slip stitch these corners closed here to have a very smooth finish. And that's pretty much it. There you go.